It is Sunday, 29th of January, 2023. It's 9 p.m. UK time, and this is episode 29 of Part of My Journey. And this is a bit of a special show. This is coming at the end and off the back of a 3-day mental health raid train that Double P has put together with a little help from me and a few other people. And yeah, we've been raising funds for Calm. We're almost at the target of £1,000. And the other important thing is Double P was the first guest on my show and the inspiration for my mental health talk show, Part of My Journey. And he and Mr. Musto were the first guests. I think this is the 4th time he's been on now. He's been on with Jim Sharp, Sideshow Mall as well. And then he's also been on with Ouija. But we've also got AdeyP DJ, who has also put on raid events in aid of mental health. So it's going to be an interesting conversation with the two of them. And yeah, if you don't get to watch it tonight, it's back on YouTube and Mixcloud. But let's say hello to my special guests, Double P and AdeyP.
Yes, guys. Hello, everyone. Big up.
Hi. How you doing, Paul and Adey? You all right?
Yeah, man.
Cool. Man. I am cold. It is cold here in Bristol, and I've got my mother's words ringing in my ear. You can wear a couple of more layers. You don't need to put that heating on it. So basically, if you're wondering why I got this jacket on, it's cold. But I'm good.
This is 2023, isn't it? This is 2023 in UK. You know, we have to wear layers rather than turn the heating on. We've got the raid in. Welcome, Raiders. Welcome, Chris Wheatley. And we've got Simon F. We've already got Barty Cuts already. We've got Seaside FM. Big shout out to Chris Wheatley for the last set in this 3-day raid event, and big ups to everyone who's taken part. Actually, you know, it's been a really good vibes from 2 o'clock Friday afternoon. We started with Funklectic, and then we've gone through, and we've got Mock Tack in the house. We've got DJ Mr. Lob. We've got Polly Ever After. We've got Tezuka 45. We've got DJ Function, Keith Fowler. So many great names. So many great names. DJ Andy Smith as well. Played a brilliant set earlier on. Yeah, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is going to be the last show as part of this 3-day raid event. But yeah, I mean, Double P, how are you feeling after 3 days?
Knackered.
Of course.
Props to you, Paul. I mean, you got to say from the outset, 56 DJs across the world, you know, organising this road train. Fair play. Let's all give a bit of appreciation for Double P in the chat, please, because that is a monumental effort, and it's for such a great cause. So respect to you, Paul, first and foremost, man.
Yeah, definitely, Paul. Big shout out. Both me and Adey and you have put on big events like this, and we know, as do other raid event organisers, how much goes into it. You know, you've got to get the DJs together. You've got to get your time zone sorted out. You've got to get everyone in place. People drop out. You've got to get replacements. There's a lot of pressure, but you've dealt with it, you know, and it's been another success, I would say.
Yeah.
So you feeling all right?
Definitely, mate. Yeah, it's been great. I mean, shout out to everyone that took part. I mean, it was an easy raid train to organise. Everyone to get involved. I mean, other people that couldn't, due to weekends away or whatever, but you know, shout out to everybody that you know, took part really for a good cause, you know. And Funk Electric, Slow Mo Gang, you know, the 45 Kings, Global Funk Family, Funk Raiders, you know, everybody that's, you know, played a part in my journey. I think I got them all in, and there's Adey, of course, and Mr. Musto, and you know, Chris Wheatley, there's everybody, you know.
It's amazing, and I was talking about it, I think, this morning as well. As I do in quite a lot of the shows. It's amazing the community that we've managed to sort of build amongst us, and that everyone does come together. You know, there's no egos. Everyone's like, yeah, that's cool. I'll get involved in that raid train, or yeah, it's a good cause. But it's been brilliant. And Adey, you know, you've put on sort of charity raid events as well. You know, is that sort of your experience as well?
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at the facts here, guys. We live in a world which is so competitive when it comes to social media.
Yeah,
ego central when it comes to. I've never known such a social community such as Twitch, and I think that's the sort of thing which really amazed me. And the things that are really seminal, I think, in my experience, are those moments where we've come together for raid trains. Now, there's a lot of raid trains on Twitch anyway, but obviously this course about creating a collective and a community there. But when you're dealing with things like mental health, I was always very, very surprised, not surprised, but very, very touched by the stories that would come out of this, the kind of kinship that you would find from these sort of mental health focused raid trains.
Yeah.
And you'd find stories that would come out. So for me, it's always been something that just really served my mental health and made me feel better about my own journey. So to share this with everybody else and sort of have that thing as a collective is what makes Twitch amazing and makes it stand out from any other platform or any other experience I've faced.
It's pretty unique. It is pretty unique, and we will talk a little bit more about Twitch. Paul's been on the show before and has obviously told us a little bit about his story and about his background and sort of his struggles in the past with mental health. Adey, you know, you've talked about them before on some of your raids events and some of your streams. You know, what would you like to say to people about, you know, sort of your experience and issues that you may have had?
Mental health is a continual, you know, as human beings, we are constantly evolving. And I think I've come to this stage in my life where it's kind of synonymous with actually finding a purpose for what my experience is in the darkness that I've experienced. And, you know, it's difficult because I'm quite an open person on my streams. So I'm quite happy and okay with being vulnerable in front of all these people here. Ever from a young period of time, I lost my father when I was 11. That really shaped my understanding that everything's transient and that you have to try and sort of make the most of everything. So constant struggles as a result of that have sort of lent itself to me getting a greater perspective about what's important in my life. So connection, finding people, music especially. I mean, let's look at it, guys. Nothing else brings together people better than music. And us as streamers and us that can creatives and us that can bring people together, we're in a very unique position here because not only do we help ourselves, but we have this amazing connection that we can get through when we're just spinning out of people's tunes. So music for me has been a fundamental aspect of dealing with my mental health and connecting with people.
So prior to sort of Twitch, you know, were you DJing out? Were you connecting with other DJs, etc.?
Well, I've been a DJ now for about 20 odd years. I'm a musician and I've been a promoter here in Bristol, and I've also done quite a lot of, I mean, pre-pandemic, I was DJing. I had a regular sort of residency here in Bristol doing sort of funk and soul night. I've basically played all over clubs in Bristol, but I sort of found myself lost that momentum when it came to my music career before the pandemic, and I had got a family, so I had responsibilities. But one thing I did, which I started back in 2013, is I ran a podcast which basically promoted unsigned and independent acts, and that was my sort of way of tapping back into doing music again. So it wasn't until sort of Twitch did I find myself sort of getting back into DJing really.
That's interesting, actually. And, you know, I know how Paul sort of got into it. How did you get into Twitch? You know, who did you see first, or who was it who said to you, come and give Twitch a go?
Do you know what? It's so funny because looking back on it, it was crazy. It was Addison Groove, my friend Tony.
Okay.
And he used to do his shows on Instagram, but then when he took it over to Twitch, I was completely like, what's this about the emotes? And I found it quite bizarre at first, but just from watching his streams, which became sort of a lot of our sort of, how can you put it? It got us through a lot of dark times as a community. I realized how amazing this was. And then obviously you end up raiding, and I kind of thought, oh, raiding. And then you thought, oh, okay. You gone to one stream and then moved on to another. But he used to raid these gamers, which was kind of funny because he would always used to go to these streams which had no viewers, and he would always like consistently have 100+ people.
Wow.
So yeah, it would be kind of like quite funny. But that was my first introduction. And then the Next Men was the one that introduced me to the majority of people I know now. Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Paul, for people who don't know, you know, what was your sort of background before you sort of got into Twitch? What were you doing?
Well, I bought my turntables, the first ones, I think 2018. So I haven't been DJing that long at all.
Right.
I think it was a couple of pair of Stanton turntables. Right? What? Oh, sorry, hang on a minute. Rush has come in.
Tell her she's not on till next week. She's on next week for the 45 Queens.
In OP.
Yeah, so I bought a couple of Stanton turntables for 70 quid and a 2-channel mixer off Gid. And then joined the SGVC, and then we did one gig out where you played for 20 minutes at Cafe Rene, and then the lockdown hit. So we all went to Facebook Live with the mobile phone on the wall, streaming.
Yeah.
And then we get banned because copyright issues.
Yeah.
And then Sam, John Messer, actually. Sam was streaming on Twitch anyway. He started off doing it. So John gave us all the links to the sound cards, the cameras, and we did the hardware set, and then we did the one for Coffee and Donuts, I think a couple of years ago. And then it's just gone from there, really.
Yeah. So, I mean, you'd only really done one short gig
out
before Twitch sort of came in. And obviously one of the reasons you got into DJing, certainly when you did Twitch, was to help your mental health, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
And so just describe that to us. So what was it about music and DJing that helped you?
Just the way it makes you feel, isn't it? It's just, I don't know, really. It's a hard one to explain, because more so now with the mental health issues, they're there a little bit, but they're not there as much as what they were. I'm off my medication now, and I have been for the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Since Puerto Rico, it's just not. I don't need it. So I think, number one, as part of the community, the Twitch community, people like yourself, Lady, Mr. Musto, you know, loads of people, Fat Wax, Rob, Sam. You know, Sam's I've been playing at the Mulberry Bar. So, you know, I don't know, it makes you feel good. And it's not about DJing for me. It's not about the ego. It's about connecting with other people, and it's about the community, and it's about helping each other out. And it's, you know, getting as many people as you know, involved as possible. That's what I think. I mean, you know, you got Danny Banks, Tommy T. You know, they're all like, everyone's amazing people. Like Slow Mo Monday.
Yeah.
You know, there's no.
I mean, the chat crew. I mean, you got to understand. Let's give props to the chat crew and the people that come into our streams. Without you guys, it would be nothing. We'd just be a guy in my flat doing my music, doing nothing, whatever.
Well,
and it's your interaction and your love and your support that really drives us as streamers. So thank you.
Definitely. It's you know, it's the streamers, it's the mods, it's the people following, it's the viewers, it's the chat. I mean, we did, you know, we'll get to it, but this morning, obviously, I did that reggae set, and I was like, oh, has anyone got any questions for Paul? And I've got a whole series of some sensible, some ridiculous questions, but I mean, some of them are quite funny. But again, it was, you know, I was playing music. It was like we're all together in the same room. We're all having a good banter. And as Danny Bounce said on his set, you know, what else can make you feel like it does? You know, playing music, having a chat with your mates, and having a laugh. And that's what I think Twitch allows you to do, because it allows you to play music that you want, whatever you want, pretty much. It allows you to interact with people who are on the same level, you know, got the same passion or similar styles of music or you know, format or whatever. But generally, everyone is positive. You know, it's been amazing, I think.
I think I got to be honest, I don't, and I'm being serious. I've done over 1,000 hours of streaming, and I think I've only had one dickhead in my whole streaming thing that's come in, and he got sent out very, very quickly. Apart from that, honestly, it was one of these things which, you know what I mean, negativity just does not exist. And being a person who's a little bit vulnerable to criticism as creatives, you know what I mean, just to feel that is empowering. So fair play to the Twitch community, I see. It's
definitely the one thing I think we have to talk about. We are, and this is something I've spoken to about, because obviously we try and encourage as many women DJs as well. We are in a position of relative privilege. You know, we're all sort of white men of a certain age, and so, you know, it's unlikely that people are going to come and sort of attack us as much as they would do if that. So, you know, I don't know, because obviously I'm not a woman in streams, but I think it's they sort of tend to get more of the attack. So I'm hoping that being part of our community and being part of say 45s or being on a raid train, we've had, you know, plenty of women DJs as part of this raid train, still creates that safe space, and hopefully we're there, if possible, to kick out any of this nonsense if it sort of comes in, and it's something that I think we always need to be aware of.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the thing is, like, it's so great to see a mixture of DJs, especially women, being represented in there.
Yeah.
And I will call out any women DJs that want to get in contact with us that we don't know of to get involved with this, because at the end of the day, we need to reach out to this, because inclusion and diversity is key. And I think, unfortunately, you do get that element of it when a DJ, well, female DJ, will necessarily be prone to a lot more attacks than us as geezers, and that's the sort of thing which I don't think the Twitch community would ever tolerate. And this is what makes this stand out from any other social platform. And we got a responsibility to encourage that as much as we can, in the inclusion of lady DJs, because it's fantastic to see, and diversity in general, you know, not just white people, but people from around the world. And this is what the beauty of doing these worldwide raid trains is that, you know, from the comfort of just your home, you can connect to all of these different people around the world. And
it's quite funny, actually, because like yesterday, because one DJ couldn't make it, I was having chats with people in Brazil, Criztoz, somebody somewhere else, and you're sat at the comfort of your own armchair, messaging people, and they're like, "Yeah, well, I'll do it." DJ Chuck B jumped in for a 2-hour set. You know, DJ Joe is Brazilian, but I can't pronounce his word. He's got a long word.
I struggle as well. Yeah, Joe Dardy, I think.
Joe Dardy, he did 2 hours like that. He's like, "Yeah, no problem, I'll do it." I'm like, "Oh, brilliant."
But it's also, I found, I mean, well, a few things, right? First of all, Paul, thank you for reaching out, because it was your message sent from Minimal P, you know, one of our 45 kids, James. It said something along the lines of, "To Criztoz and Fat Wax, thank you so much for helping my dad through depression." And that really hit me. And it's at that point that I thought, right, okay, you know, this is something a little bit more than us just playing records or being, you know, old men nerding out over 45s. And at that stage,
sorry,
that's all right. I'm getting deep here. I'm getting deep.
Sorry, mate. Go on, carry on.
So it was, you know, it was that message, and then I thought, okay, we got something here. You know, this is something more. And I said to you, you know, do you want to talk about it? And you could have quite rightly said, no, I don't want to talk about it. You know, I'm going to be, you know, I'm going to go away and have whatever issues, whatever. But you're like, no, of course, I'll come and talk about it. And I said, well, do you think anyone else would talk about it? And you said John Musto. And then that's how this show started. And we're now on episode 29, and you've been on the show 4 times, you know.
Well, I've got to give a shout out to John as well, man, because he's been really, really so much support over the last couple of years, and you know, always comments on my sets, always gives me improvements and tips and that. So, you know, you've got to give a shout out to him.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, I'm hoping we'll hear, he asked a few questions this morning, so I'm hoping we'll hear those questions later on. But it's the fact that you were, or felt open enough, and that it was a safe enough space, and that you know, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, we'd interacted on streams, we'd interacted through messages, but we'd never met in person up to this point. But you felt that what the bond that we had and the bond you had with other 40 meant that you could talk about these things. Say, look, I have had depression, I have had this, I have had that, you know, I'm happy to talk about it. And it's definitely been a real help. So, you know, how was that for you, finding that there was this community that you could open up to?
Like I say, it's good to talk, you know, and I think you've got to have trust with people you talk with. I think, like, you know, like Danny Banks said in his stream earlier on, you know, you've got trained professionals, but you know, that I agree with that. But you can also talk to, you know, I call people on Twitch like yourself, Fat Wax, you know, Rob. Well, everybody in the community is good friends. You know, I've met you, I've met Fat Wax, I've met Danny Banks, I've met Tommy T. You know, we've gone to Edinburgh, we've gone with Funky Flavors, Mr. Soul, Ouija, Keith Fowler. You know, so I don't know really. I'm like AdeyP. I'm quite open. You know, and you know, for anyone that doesn't know my journey, it was basically, it got to the point where I stood on a bridge and I would chuck myself off. But that's gone now. Them days are gone. You know, I'm
really pleased to hear about that. And obviously, you know, you talked about that during the show. So it's a big change to have got to, you know, that must have been pretty much the lowest point in your life to where you are now, you know, getting off your meds. you know, doing really well on Twitch, and you know, I've got to give you fair play. You know, you're a really good DJ. You know, I've seen you progress over the last couple of years, and you know, it's been really good to watch. And also, I know you two have had quite a good sort of friendship, and I understand you guys chat quite a lot. So, I mean, what's that been like? You know, having each other to sort of talk to, and
I think again with Paul as well, there's a sort of kinship there because we're quite open and honest with our vulnerability.
Yeah,
and that's what makes it okay. You know, I'm the same in my streams. I welcome that. You know, ultimately, people can feel safe in my streams. If they want to share, they can share. They don't have to share. But at the same time, I want to use my own experience and openness with the fact that things are just a bit shit sometimes, and I'm okay with that. That would basically encourage others to do it. So Paul and I have just sort of connected on that level. So it doesn't have to be the most in-depth conversations. It's just a mutual understanding that we're both there for each other. And I've had many people in the Twitch community that I've sort of lent upon, or they've lent upon me. And it doesn't always have to be the most profound experience. I had a total guy that I really love dearly come and sort of visit me recently. And it was kind of one of these things which you don't know what the universe brings you to certain people. And I'm just grateful that people trust me enough to sort of open up to me. And I would always be very, very careful of that. So I think there's always this element of me which is very understanding and sympathetic, but also there's this part of me that wants to shake people up a little bit and say, come on, man, we can smash this motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And have that flip side to the whole mental health illness, because we can sit in it, but at the same time, we got to get up and do something about it, because I am fed up personally of letting mental health kick my ass as much as quite a lot of people. So it's that sort of thing, going back to your question about how me and Paul connect, is that sort of shared vulnerability, I think, which makes our connection strong.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot comes out of that. And I think the way that we've got raid events and Twitch events and stuff, you know, there's always something to look forward to. And that's something that's really important. And I think there's also this element that we're all part of this big thing, you know, don't want to let anyone down. So, you know, if someone is feeling a bit shit, you know, I know Double P, you know, you weren't too well yesterday, but you were like, you know, I'm still going to make the effort and do my set because, you know, this is my thing, you know, I've agreed to do it. And having these Twitch sets to do in some way helps your mental health, because you're going to think, right, you know, I don't want to let anyone down, you know, or, you know, I've agreed to do it. Let's do it. I know letting people down can be an issue as well with certain people for mental health as well. But I think having that to look forward to and knowing that you're part of something and people are relying on you and people want you to be part of it and you've been invited in is also quite a good thing. And I think it does help.
Can you imagine, you know, life before the pandemic without Twitch? None of us would know each other.
It's funny because you like, the thing is, you'll be sat in your yards and you know you don't even have to have a set. It's not even a raid stream, but your own plan set. And there's so many times I've just been like, I'm not feeling this, I'm not feeling this, but I do it. And then within 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I played a couple of tracks and you're feeling it. And it's like, that's the thing. You could just decide to get up and do that. So yeah, you're right. Because without that, I don't know, man. It's just kind of one of those things you can always tap into, isn't it?
But we wouldn't know each other now, would we? We wouldn't. None of us would be having this conversation now if it wasn't for the pandemic. So hats off to the pandemic, I say. Big ups for that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, we've got to, and we say it a lot. You know, the pandemic, obviously, sadly, a lot of people lost their lives. A lot of people got very ill. It messed up a lot of things.
Oh yeah,
but it's a case of looking at the positives, isn't it? And you know, this community and what we've all been part of has been a massive sort of positive of it all. But I think it's like being, I don't know about you guys, but it's like we're constantly at a festival. You know, there's always something on Twitch. You know, we've all talked about it a lot, having Twitch as our sort of background, and it's basically checking in with our mates on a daily basis, even if it's so much as sort of just popping into their set and saying, hi, you know, hi, whatever. You go into a chat and then you've got 3, 4, 5, 10 people saying hi and saying hello. You know, that's a little bit of a pickup, isn't it? On a daily basis. And especially where there's a lot of people who live in isolation or don't have friends, don't have neighbours, don't get out much, or for, you know, physical reasons can't get out. It must be great to have that you can just switch it on and straight away you're in a chat room where you've got your friends.
Criztoz, it's connection. I mean, we're all
Yeah.
seeking connection, and that's the biggest thing. We are creatures of just wanting to connect with people. So the fact is, if you're an introvert, it works for you. If you're an extrovert, it works for you, and it applies to everybody. Not everyone wants to go to a club and have the confidence to go speak up to someone. So the fact that they can just sit in their yard, even if they're having a bad day, and just put a couple of emotes and go, yo, yo, yo. I mean, that is just what makes it so beautiful. Because you don't have, and also it gives people confidence just to kind of like connect without any expectation. You know, the amount of expectation we have as human beings for any connection, the voices that go in our head just when we're just, you know, for me, I've always been classed as a weirdo, but I'm embraced my weirdoness. But I can just go up to some random and just have a conversation. I won't bother someone if I can see it's not the right time. I'm not just saying just be one of those guys. But I'm talking about the thing is, it takes, if you're nervous and you've got social anxiety, just to even like ask sometimes someone for some basic thing can be a very difficult thing for people to go through. Yeah. So just to be able for people to do things in comfort from their own yard is liberating. Absolutely.
Do you think, is this something, you know, you talk about social anxiety, has that improved since you've been on Twitch, or sorry, as in, are you having it less since you've been on Twitch, do you think?
I never really had social anxiety, but I would still say that when I say I didn't have it, I had it, but I never let it stop me. There's a difference here. Look, we are human beings of kind of, let's protect ourselves. Let's not pretend that we're like, everything's easy. It's not easy, but what you need to make a decision of is how much you let that impact your life. So I come across confident, but I'm also crippled with social anxiety. But I just choose to find other ways and techniques and other ways of sort of making myself challenge that, because otherwise my life wouldn't be, I would be a lot more depressed than I would be. But what I'm trying to say here is that we all have a decision in our lives to make a decision what's best for ourselves. We all owe it to ourselves to at least give something a go. And I think this relates back to a lot of DJs that were maybe DJs 10, 15 years ago, or got their decks upstairs in the attic, and they again pulled it back out, and they were nervous at first. They didn't have the camera on them. And then after a while, you see the development of them grow, and all of those social anxiety goes, and then they're suddenly like doing all this stuff, and that's brilliant. That sort of let go of that sort of fear of, you know, whatever it was that stopped them from DJing or getting involved with it in the first place.
Definitely. What about you, Paul? Have you noticed a difference in your life since you've started streaming?
Yeah, I mean, especially getting on the train to Edinburgh on my own.
Exactly, yeah.
That was mad.
Exactly, yeah, because you hadn't, you know, that was quite a big thing for you, wasn't it? You know, you're coming from Gloucester, getting on a train on your own, getting all the way up to Edinburgh, you know, that and then you did it though.
Yeah, great, brilliant weekend.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was great. Right, there's lots of things coming in the chat, and Sharola Funk says something, and we talked about this before. A simple question, asking someone how you're doing, makes a big difference, and there's the sort of, you know, how you doing, and then most people will answer, yeah, I'm okay, whatever, and it's asking that second question, isn't it? But how are you really?
Christo, I got a thing for that. That's wicked. You watch people spin out, right? You walk down the street, you bump into someone. What's the first question you ask them? What you been up to? You know, you are genuinely interested in it, but it's a vacuous question because people go, not much, because they don't really want to explain that other thing we're going through. So I got an alternative question, right? And try it this week. See what you've been thinking. And then actually, you watch that. Yeah, you watch their brains tick over. They'll get all weird at first because they're asking a very actually honest question, and they actually have to think about something which is relevant to them today, because it's about what they're feeling today. Because we can all sort of summarize about very complex things and whatever, but just give it a go.
It's almost going back to that old phrase, isn't it? Penny for your thoughts, isn't it? Where you're basically saying to people, you know, well, what are you thinking at the moment? That is an interesting one. Yeah, it's definitely worth trying, because, like you say, you know, most conversations are like, oh, what you doing, or what have you been up to, or are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Especially with blokes, you know, blokes, you know, and then it's the small talk. And this is what I've loved most about this, is we've gone past the sort of nerding out about records to actually being able to talk about all this important stuff that's here. Okay. Now, we've been doing this today and the last couple of days for Calm. We've been trying to raise money for the charity, I think we're not far off our target. So, just give it a little plug. If anyone hasn't donated yet and would like to donate, or, if you've done a stream and you got some bits and subs and would like to donate those, then obviously feel free. We're at 938 of £1,000. Hopefully over the next few days, as sort of the bits and subs sort of come rolling through, we can sort of hit that target. But the other thing is obviously raising awareness of it. And something that one of our Canadian DJ friends mentioned the other day was that she didn't quite realise how big an issue male suicide was in the UK. And it was only obviously reading about the charity and seeing what was going on. So, even if we're not raising, hundreds and thousands of pounds, the fact that we're talking about this is the most important thing, and, even if one person sort of watches this and does something about it, or feels bad, or goes, like you say, AD, speaks to their mate tomorrow and say, what are you thinking? It's going to make a difference. So I think, we're hopefully doing something positive here. Right, Paul, I've got a special guest for you.
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Mr. Mustang.
Surprise, surprise.
Wicked.
So we came up with a little plan about an hour or so ago. I thought, John had been on the first show with you, Paul, so I thought it'd be great to get him back on. And then secondly, he's known you, obviously, in real life for a long time. And I thought it'd be interesting to hear from John, his view of, how you've been and how things have changed over the last sort of, couple of years. So yeah, John, first of all, how are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Thanks for inviting me along.
And yeah, again, thank you for being on the first show. If it wasn't for you two sort of agreeing, we might not be here. But yeah, tell us a little bit about Paul. How was he before sort of the pandemic and just before DJing, and then obviously how's it sort of gone over the last couple of years?
Yeah, so I think when I first met you, Paul, you might have just been about to have done your first gig, or just had done your first gig with the SGBC, what you mentioned. Yeah. And I guess when I met Paul, he was kind of apprehensive about certain things, would put things off, say he was going to do things and then put things off, because his mental health at the time was seriously having an effect on what he was, or what he thought he was capable of doing, I should say. But, we turn the clock forward 2 years, and this gentleman's arranging worldwide sort of raid trains and getting people to, just getting this community to meet. I mean, he's taken me to gigs and stuff like that. And, 2 years ago, he was putting off the fact that he'd been invited to do a gig, and he was, his mental health was in a position where it was, quite debilitating, and it was not allowing him to do things that he wanted to do. So, I mean, when we talk about this journey, I've seen this journey, and it's been an amazing journey to be part of. He's been encouraging for me to get back on Twitch. He's introduced me to some amazing people through the Twitch community and in real life. Congratulations on 1,000 followers as well, mate. You've come such a long way. If you were to write a list down and look at those achievements just in that short space of time, I think you'd probably be amazed, mate. And hopefully I always talk about accentuating the positives, and alleviating the negatives. And I think your journey, you're just getting more and more positives. And we all have little setbacks and things that throw us back in time. But you've got a support network around you now to reach out, bounce ideas off, talk about things. I mean, you've been a good support for me when I'm a bit like, I'm not doing this anymore. Twitch is, because we've all had our technicals and stuff like that. And I'm not doing it. But you've been there and stood up and said, get back on, come round, stream from mine and stuff like that. So, you're even now supporting other people, that's a fantastic journey which you've been on. So yeah,
we have to celebrate both of you, because the whole point of doing the raid event was that you hit 1,000 followers, and you were like, what should I do? Should we do a stream? And then I said to you, what about another mental health one? You're like, yeah, let's do it. And then within a few days, but AD, you've just hit 1,000 followers as well.
Yeah, big up to everyone. Thank you so much for your support, guys. I mean, it's been a journey, but thank you.
It's a strange one, because it's just a number, but it means so much. I remember when I hit it was like, wow, 1,000 people have been through my channel at some point. Yeah. And have, thought enough of what I'm doing to hit follow. They might not be around, they might not watch lots of stuff, but, to have, impacted on 1,000 people around the world is quite an achievement, isn't it, really?
I think the thing is that makes it feel like regardless of whether it translates to numbers, for me, it just is representative of every single person that might have just dropped in for a minute, might have dropped in for an hour, been the supporter, and just made me feel like it's representative all the time and all the effort that I've put into it as well.
Definitely. And we talked before, because I think Double P, you know, you'd said, I think on one of the earlier streams that, you know, when you first started, you'd be streaming and you'd get a bit down because there'd only be like, say, 2, 3, 5 people watching. And we were like, yeah, just forget the numbers, you know, just chill, just DJ, enjoy yourself. And then look at you now, 1,000 followers. You know, it's amazing how things can move on. And you've kept at it. And you've put in the hard work, you've put in the hours, you know, you've never given up. I know there's been, you know, ups and downs, but you've never given up. And I think that's something else that is really important with Twitch and all of us. You know, we've got a channel, we've got a platform. It keeps us going, I think, you know. I can't imagine, I'm sure it's the same for you three, but I can't imagine tomorrow saying, right, that's it, I'm not streaming again.
Yeah, I couldn't do that now. Yeah, I couldn't, I don't think I could just say I'm not doing it anymore. No way, not now. No. There's too many people we know. Too many connections have been built. Too many, you know. We're doing so many good things now. You know, we were doing it before, but you know, we've got Scotty Boy in the chat as well, and Danny Banks has only got 258 for him to.
Well, we've got, I don't know what we got. We've got 25 in. I'm sure they're already all following Danny Banks, but if not.
Yeah, I'd like to invite you all to a stream that I'm going to do when I get to 1,000 followers. It's going to be in 2030, so I hope you can still
We'll be there. We'll be there. As Funky Flavor said, we should all follow each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And, I think what Mr. Musto said there about Paul there, I mean, that's very appropriate, because I think that is representative of your journey. And I think the thing is, like, having done many raid trains and all those things, you just organized 56.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's what Mr. Mustard said about who knows you and knows the fact of where you've come from. Whenever you're having those moments, it's those moments that you do look back. I remember this one moment, guys. And I remember when I did my marathon stream, and I remember this very distinctly. I basically was crying on my bed because I felt I couldn't do it. And I remember this moment of going, I don't want to be the guy that doesn't do the whole amount. I was really, it's these little achievements that when you get through them and you do it, they're just always, I call benchmarks. So whenever you're faced with some sort of challenging situation, you've got some reference point to go back to go, okay, I did that. And I think that's all what we need. It's like we make one step and we never know really where it's going to go, but we've got to be brave enough to make that first step in the first place, which is the hardest step to make, isn't it, guys? You know,
it is. And it's a strange one, isn't it? Because when we all probably first got onto Twitch, you know, it's gamers originally. And then you see the way it works, right? To be affiliate, you've got to do X, Y, and Z. And then, you know, if you make it to partner, you've got to do X, Y, and Z and all the rest of it. And in a strange way, it's sort of there in the background, isn't it? Oh, you know, I only need another 100 followers to hit 1,000. So it keeps you going, you know, and it's something that keeps you going and keeps you coming back for more, which is, you know, it's addictive. Obviously, streaming is addictive. But if it wasn't for the positivity and if it wasn't for the viewers and the community, you know, we probably wouldn't be doing it as much. You know, you might come on once a week and play some records if you were just playing to yourself.
Everybody.
I've got to give a shout out to Chris Wheatley as well, and obviously the King, because every time I went into his chat, he'd always say, give Double P a follow, he's certain such and such of 1,000 followers, so I've got to give him big ups for that as well, because every time I was there, he always said it. And the same as Sam as well. Sam put that in his chat as well when I was quite close. So.
I mean, as a platform, I think, you know, everybody's touched on it. I mean, you know, that sense of community. I know, Adey, you said you DJ'd out a lot. Some people didn't DJ out so much, and then the pandemic obviously stopped a lot of people. But like DJing industry is and the music industry, it could be quite a bitchy industry. And Twitch is you know, is so supportive. You think when we all started that journey, if someone had an issue, a tech issue or something like that, and even now, you can reach out to anyone who you've ever had any remote connection with through Twitch, and everybody is so willing to help. I mean, it's fantastic community. It's really, really good. And music, as Adey said, it just breaks down any kind of barriers. You might not even talk the same language It's someone who's the other side of the world, but yet they're listening to you play music. I mean, that's fantastic, isn't it? It's just, it's amazing.
It's an amazing connection, you know. And like you say, you know, it's very different to what the music industry generally is known for. You know, and the fact that we can all come together. And, you know, we're not competing against each other. You know, we're all saying, like, follow everyone else. You know, we got a little niche. And
raiding across to each other. And, so supportive. So supportive.
And I think that's the thing, because there was a chap on, I forget his name, Barty will remind me, but he called into Barty's show the other day, and he'd been on Twitch and had recently moved to Mixcloud. And Mixcloud is a slightly different streaming experience in that there isn't quite the same community. But the thing that's sort of lacking at the moment, and hopefully they'll implement it at some point, is the raiding. You know, the fact that you can take your whole community who's watching you to someone else, and, you know, not even with an expectation that it's going to come back. You know, at the end of the day, you know, you can raid loads of people, you know, you'll get some raids back and all the rest of it. But you're just saying, right, okay, let's go somewhere else. Let's carry on the after party. Let's go on to another, you know, we'll find someone at the end of this and say, right, let's find someone to carry on. But it's that, I think, that has been the best thing. You know, because you could just say, right, I'm just going to switch my stream off and go to bed, or, you know, go and do whatever. But we're like, no, let's go find someone else to carry on. And I think that is what's really made Twitch the success for DJs. Because I don't know if gamers do it. I don't know if other talk show hosts
the thing is, I love the raid trends where basically, like you've done this weekend, Paul, with the fact that you're bringing so many flavors. So kind of like you're just going around the world. You don't have any expectations, because sometimes you don't know the DJs. And that's what it's like, a festival, isn't it? And it's so some of the great festival things, it's not necessarily when you know who's playing, you're just walking around and you go, oh, this sounds good. And you find it, and it's just some random cafe with some band playing. But it's that sort of randomness about it, which makes it quite unique.
Well, I mean, I've described it as a couple of things. One is like a pub crawl or a festival, like you say. You know, you're like, you take all your mates, right, let's go to this pub. Oh, someone's DJing in that pub. Let's go to that pub. Or at a festival, like you say, such and such I've heard is playing at this stage, let's go there. And it's the same sort of thing, isn't it? You know,
and the beauty is we're all doing it from our own homes. If you think about it, and you're not shelling out money. So if you were to pay to go to a festival and maybe stumble across a band or a DJ or an artist and think, I quite like that person, I'll start finding out a little bit about their back catalogue. You can do all of this from the beauty of your home, and yet you're going all around the world. And it's true. It's amazing, isn't it? So
exactly. We've got Andy Smith, who played a brilliant set earlier on, and he's made pretty much a comment, you know, I was sort of talking about. He said, not one message on Mixcloud last time I streamed to Mixcloud and Twitch, but it's a proper fun chat on Twitch. You know, I hope Mixcloud are listening. I know it's difficult, you know, I think, not to emulate, but it's what they're missing to sort of, if they want to get DJs onto their platform. But
I think that's a unique thing about Twitch, isn't it? That community element of the chat is massive. Again, I know some people multi-stream, but yeah, the ability to take everyone that's watching you, or, you know, on your channel across to someone else, fantastic.
Even as a viewer, like, you know that you've got so many options, and this is what makes it so grateful that anyone sticks in your stream, because there are, like, we're not talking about everyone just sort of, there's some absolute quality DJs out there, and some of the DJs that I see, they got like 8 or 9 viewers, and they're amazing. So it's like, you can basically just hop around and still see loads of different stuff within a day. And it's like, so, you know, I get a lot of lurkers in my stream. Sometimes people don't chat, but they obviously come in and they check out whether or not it's for half an hour, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Yeah. Beautiful experience.
I've really started using Twitch as a radio. That's my radio now. So I switch it on, and sometimes you don't get that interaction in the chat, but there's numbers there. And what I found with Twitch, like personally, I've stopped looking at numbers, and I enjoy streaming more, because we had this conversation many times on the My Journey, you know, sort of, you know, chats and stuff, just saying, if you're looking at numbers all the time, it can affect you a little bit. You can start thinking, oh, why is no one listening? And from an AD, you might have, when you first started, you might have experienced this from a DJ who's DJ'd out, and you've got that audience in front of you, and people are coming into a venue, you could see people, having a good time and all that sort of stuff. And Twitch is a little bit weird like that. And if you keep looking at numbers thinking, well, hang on, I could do a club and I can get 100 people in, 200 people in, 1,000 people in, you know, why is no one following me on Twitch? You know, it can It can get a little bit down, you know, but so yeah, just enjoy the music. You know, what people will find you, so just enjoy doing what you enjoy doing.
The thing is, when you find that you're just, I turn numbers off now. The only time I ever know about numbers is when I'm raiding, because then I basically, especially if you get a raid in, I used to then check, say if you got a raid of 30, 40 people, then you quickly look to see how many people left and all that kind of stuff. And I think that was just detrimental. And I think that's just something it's like anything in life, when you're doing it for a higher purpose than yourself and what you're doing, ultimately you're always subject to other people's whims and everything else like that. That doesn't serve you well. But when you're doing things which really feel right to you, regardless of like who's there, you know spiritually and in your soul that you're doing something which is right for you. And I think the thing is, for me, it's like, I just know that when I'm DJing, I'm enjoying it. It translates to people. When I start to mix stuff, which I feel like, oh, someone's coming to the chat and I'm going to do this, and I start mixing things around to kind of suit things, people read it, man. It's like, I just feel clunky then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just
You've always got to do your own thing, haven't you? And again, I can't remember his name, and Barty's put it in, but the same chap was talking about this, and he said that people would raid in. And the same thing exactly, you know, right, it's 75 have raided in, and then after 20 minutes, there's only 30 there. You're like, oh, what have I done? Do I need to change it up? And then you change it up. And the beauty about Twitch is you can play what you want, do what you want, be who you are. And I think you've just got to keep true to yourself. And I think that's what people like, you know, it's the realness and, you know, the vulnerability that we're putting ourselves out there. That, I mean, you know, Adey, you know, I watched your stream the other day. I didn't realise till I watched it that you're doing the singing. You know, I didn't even realise that was a thing. And I was like, wow, I haven't seen this before.
I know, and that's a really weird thing. You know, you finish a song and there's just silence. And it's like, you know what I mean? I've done many gigs where it's just been silence, but like, it's the cold, empty silence of your flat, and you open your eyes and like, oh shit. And there's just like a couple of emotes just creep their way through. And you're like, shit. And the thing is, I'm quite a confident person when it comes to DJing, but singing, even though people say I can sing and I'm relatively confident about it, but there's that vulnerability about it. And it's almost on my kryptonite a little bit, because it's the one thing I struggle with. But like, it makes me laugh, because at the end of the day, when you talked about like doing things in your own flat or your own houses, singing or doing any sort of music like that, and you open your eyes and there's just silence. It's very.
Maybe they need to get some emotes that make a noise, so people could put like an applause.
Yeah, but Chris, what I did on my Ableton, I've got an applause thing that I did myself.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I did it. Just raise it up.
I'd have the farting emoji. I would, wouldn't I? So I'd finish what I got. Thanks.
That'd be brilliant. You know, or the tumbleweeds, you know, when it's
brilliant. And as Barty says, you know, it's a very different feeling DJing for cameras versus a live audience. You know, he does both. And interesting, he's doing a lot of interesting stuff where he streams the event live, and then he's got emotes popping up and stuff, and then he played that back. You know, so there's lots of sort of interesting crossovers. You know, we're only, I keep saying this, we're just at the start, really.
Yeah.
You know, we've only been here, what, 2.5 years, most of us, doing Twitch, you know, and look how far we've sort of got. Right, in my stream this morning, there was a series of questions that people were asking, and John, you had a few questions.
Yeah.
So we'll just go through these. So we'll go for the serious one first. So the serious one was, when did Double P ask his family to get involved with 45 Queens and 45 Kids? Because we've got Minimal P as part of the 45 Kids, and we've got Lady Pitsy as part of the 45 Queens. So we've got Lady Pitsy next Saturday, 45 Queens on the 45 Kings channel, and we've got Minimal P and Double P as part of the parent and kids stream that we're doing next week in aid of shelter, raising awareness and help for homeless people. So, can you remember Double P?
Oh, bloody hell. I don't know. I think I might have saw, because James was, like, Dusty Donuts was his sort of thing when we were watching Wednesdays on Wax. And then we went to the festival, Lydiard Festival, and Danny Banks, Tommy T, Fat Wax, Jim Sharp. Jim Sharp had a package for him with 45s, and I think he started messing around on my turntables then, and I think he had a 45 Kids. You asked me if he wanted a DJ, and I said yes.
Yeah.
So he started doing it that way. And then the wife got involved. So now when a 45 turns up, I don't know if it's for me, for the net, or is it for James? Well, it's just for me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can see your problem there, but yeah, you just don't let them order any for them. You just buy them for yourself.
I bought a load of 45s off Sam in Swindon.
Yeah.
At Baylor's Coffee Bar. I think you were there, weren't you? Tommy T and all were there. And
yeah, I was there for that one.
Brought them home, and James goes, "I want that one," and then I never seen it again.
Sorry, Karen.
Yeah, I was just going to say. So you know, I mean, obviously, I know the sort of impact it's had on my relationship with my daughter. You know, what's it been like being able to share your music and your passion, and also your community with your family? What's that been like?
That's great, because everyone's included, aren't they? You know, so you know, obviously they're not like into it like we are, but they are into it. But you know, I mean, they like the networks. God knows how many hours being a 5.0, which FTP 45 is great to play when she gets home from shift.
Yeah.
And
you make that joke every time you play. Every time you play F the Police.
Like I played, which was the other one? The Same as the Police. Is that
KRS One? Yeah.
I played that one as well. And but never mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. It's nice to see him getting involved as well, you know, and making connections that way. So, I mean, Minimal P's playing in Cambridge, isn't he? So we'll see, meet ZZ and meet other people. So
yeah. We've done some 45 Kids live stuff before, but we've got, you know, end of next month, Cambridge, you know, Minimal P and ZZ 45, and there's another, I don't know who it is yet, but there's a kid who's 16-year-old who's going to be DJing, followed by his dad in Cambridge. You know, so again, it's sort of more connections, and again, that's for charity. You know, so you know, we do try and sort of do charity stuff for everything. Coming back to the questions, the silly ones now.
I've got to say, can I interrupt? The 45 Kids, I thought about this earlier, right? You got to understand, like, the 45 Kids is such a great, amazing thing, guys. It is incredible. And the fact is, my boys, musically minded as they are, they see that stuff. And just the fact that you've got that on Twitch, getting kids, like, part of the greatest, I think, the greatest gift that you can give your children is a good musical taste, or at least a good foundation in music, because whatever thing else in life, music will always do one thing, and it's so collective for all of us. For our children to get involved with that, let alone just DJ, I just got to give props to you guys for starting that shit out, because that kicks ass. It's amazing. My kids love it.
I've got to be honest. You know, it's been bonkers, the whole thing. And every time I tell someone that, you know, we've got a group of kids from around the world playing, not just DJing, but also playing 7-inch vinyl. You know, it blows a lot of people's mind. They're like, what? You know, what, these kids? And if people come out to see them doing it, like we've done a couple of live events here, and they suddenly see it, and they always do like a double take. They sort of look up, first of all, that it's a kid, and then they do a double take. They're like, hold on, they're playing records. You know, it's pretty cool. But it's what it's leading on to for me, which is even more interested. I'm just going to put Danny's comment up before I make this. 45 Kids are great, but if my son touches my record, they'll be disowned.
Yeah, I get
all
that.
Right, Danny, don't bring them to Cambridge. But so next week, 5th of February, I got a message from Evie Wonder, who is Chrome's daughter, and she's been one of the 45 Kids. ZZ went and DJ'd with her up in Great Yarmouth, and she said she wanted to help organise a stream to raise money for Shelter, a homeless charity, because obviously, you know, for kids, it's one of the things that kids always pick up on, because you know, if homeless people are in your towns and whatever, you know, that kids always see them, because obviously they're about that sort of levels. You know, unfortunately they're sitting in, you know, in shop doorways, and kids sort of connect straight away. You know, they see, right, this is someone living on the street, and on a level, kids do that. But it was amazing that she said, right, I want to do a stream, I want other kids to do it, let's raise money for other people who are less fortunate than us. So there's that. And then I got a message from Benny Goggs, his daughter, Indie Mix. Her grandmother's recently been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and she said, I'd like to do a stream for Alzheimer's to try and raise awareness and money for that. So it's amazing that we've got these kids DJing, but that we're instilling in them through what we do, raising money for charity and mental health and all the rest of it. We're instilling in them this ability to think about other people. And I think that's one of the most important things that we're achieving, and that I'm, you know, really proud of what we're doing.
I'll tell you what, one thing Minimal P, James did, when we had that bad snow, I had to go out and get the shopping. So I parked the car up, and there was this homeless person sat outside begging for money. We came out, I gave him some money, he walked back in the shop, bought the guy some food and gave it to him.
Yeah.
Props off to that man.
Do you know what? I think the thing is as well, like the thing is about that the real representation of what you've just said there, Criztoz and Paul, about how we are translating our thing to the children. Is that the thing is they see something in that, and I think that that's more potent than anything else. If you can help other people, they see this thing. It's like also overcoming obstacles. Like when my boys see me overcome these obstacles, they can get inspired. The fact that regardless of what financial situation in whatever environmental situation in, it doesn't take much just to be kind, and kindness doesn't cost that much. Definitely. And I think the thing is, ultimately kindness comes in many different forms. So I just think it's just that ability just to instill in our children that, you know, there's a greater sum than ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so I'm not going to get somewhat. Danny just put in the chat about F the Tories. I mean, I'm not going to get into anything political, but what I don't understand, when we're going back to homeless people, why is it that the government can put people that come across on a boat who are all middle-aged blokes or 25-year-olds, yet they can't do that for the homeless people that have paid taxes and paid national insurance? But we can jump off that subject straight away. I just thought that because I think it's disgusting. But that's just me.
We may have to have a political discussion sometime further down the line, but you know, I think there's a lot of antiness about the government that we've got at the moment, and I'm hoping in a couple of years' time, this time in 2 years' time, we may be in a slightly different position. Good. I would hope, but we will see. One of the things that Danny Bounce said, well, he said lots of things this morning, which I'll be reading out some of his questions in a minute. But one of the things he said, on his stream today was that there's nothing better than playing music, talking to your mates, and having a bit of a laugh. So we've got some sort of funny questions that people were asking this morning. So John, you asked a couple more. Now, I'm not sure about this one. You said, why does Double P bury pound coins in the garden when you go to stream from his house?
Do you want to explain Double P, or do you want me to explain it?
What's that all about?
So we did a coffee and donuts through the hard way, and it was me, John. I think Tunes was on it. I think Gib was on it as well. And John was ill during the morning, but he came round anyway to do the set, and he looked white as a sheet. Anyway, I'm streaming, and I look at the top of my garden. He's bent over the wall,
right,
being sick.
Oh,
well,
no.
he thought that I was looking for some money on the floor, and he comes in. He says, "Did you find a pound coin or something?" And I said, "No, I've just been projectile vomiting. No, I do apologise. It's all in your garden." So I was on the strike. He said, "Well, you're gonna have to go on," and I'm a bit like, "Oh God," I was green at that point. And I said, "I don't know if when I go on, I'm gonna have to go out the garden again." And Craze jumped in the chat, didn't he, on that one? And it was really, really weird because I was trying to do a little something, and the needle was bouncing all over the place, and I just felt absolutely. And I was a bit like, "Oh, right, yeah, great. One of the best turntablists in the world just managed to just get in the chat when I'm projectile vomiting in my mate's garden, and I got a stylist skipping all over the place. Fantastic." So yeah, so that was the story behind that one. So
isn't it? Did you manage to do the set though?
I got through it. Yeah,
that's the thing, though, isn't it? You know, I mean, you're at the moment, you're hanging over the edge, you're puking up, and now you had that decision in your head. Then, you know,
I mean, if I would have been puking in my own garden, I might not have got through it, but it was Double P, so it was all okay.
But did you find any money? Was there any money
on
the other side?
No, I didn't want to go searching through my vomit to have a look if there was any. But I actually think he might have super glued a pound coin to a patio slab, so every time I go up, I'll try and prise it off. Not too sure.
So the next question you asked.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Simon F. Take it easy.
Big up, Simon.
The next question is, could Double P recommend any Twitch knitting channels?
So again,
what's that about?
So Double P had raided into me. I was streaming, and then I asked a question, being polite, as we say. We've got to take the raid on somewhere. You know, where are we going? And he said, go over to I think it was Mike C or something like that. Yeah.
Mike C, yeah.
So I'm like, great. So I raided to what I thought was Mike C, but it was the wrong Mike C, and the Mike C I raided to was knitting
Right.
on Twitch. So from that moment onwards, he's never let me forget it. So he always says, "Oh, we go into any knitting channels when I'm on or things like that."
Out of all the streams you could have landed in, you landed into it. Mike C does knitting.
But in all fairness, what I will say is Twitch's name. You know, I take up a new hobby, and if anyone wants any blankets or socks,
I mean,
me and Mike C, you met.
It was meant to be, guys, because without that, Mr. Mustang would have not been able to knitting.
No.
But I mean, do you reckon there must be? There's obviously knitting communities around the world. Do you reckon they've got a talk show where they talk about knitting and mental health? Do you think that exists?
Well, someone's got to learn how to cast on and cast off, haven't they?
Look, whatever floats your boat. I think basically there's a mental health through knitting community out there somewhere. There might be some online groups, like basically, like you know, where they all share their knitting stories and
and you know, and I'm available to talk on any of them.
Fantastic. So that was your three questions, right? We had a question from Mr.
Get on to the sensible ones, though, please.
Well, I'm not sure there's. I think you're the only one who had a sensible question. Actually, no, there's a couple of sensible ones. Now we've got a French question. So Double P, listen carefully because the answer is in the question. All right. This is from Mr. Pate Mix. My French isn't great, but I'll try. De quelle couleur était le cheval blanc de Henri? I don't know what fourth is. Henry IV. Henry IV, I suppose. I don't know.
No. I don't know what that question is. Sorry.
Anyone else?
No.
Right.
I think at this moment in time, if you said it in English, I don't think there will be either.
Okay, shall I say it in English? Right, Double P, ready? What colour is the white horse of Henry IV?
Colour is the white horse. If you would have just told us.
It depends how you knit it, really.
It depends how you eat it.
No, on your knitting.
Right, okay.
Anyway, I don't know.
White.
I don't know.
White is
White,
right.
Yeah.
Now, Danny Bounce, obviously, he's a
sensible question, though.
Sensible questions from Danny Bounce. He has got a couple of sensible questions, but we'll stick with the silly ones first. Danny Bounce obviously came on the show before, and obviously put some comments in the very first show we did. Here's a good one. Double P, if you were a wrestler, what would your entrance music be?
What?
That's a good one. I like that.
It's a good question.
So,
and I would add on, what would your wrestler name be?
Suplex P.
Super Legs P.
No, Suplex.
Pile Driver P.
Yeah. Pile Driver P.
I know the Birdie song.
The Birdies.
That'd be brilliant. Just coming out like.
Salute Jesus the DJ. Sorry, you've come in at a ridiculous point. We were talking about some serious points.
Actually, can I just say at this point? No, I've got something very important to say on that line. If it wasn't for Beezus, because when the whole pandemic started and we went into lockdown and furlough and things like that, there was a few people who I found quite quickly, thanks to Sam Tweaks, putting me onto Twitch. But Beezus was one of the DJs that I first found on Twitch. And that man was streaming sort of 5 days a week, I think, at that time.
Yeah.
He was playing the soundtrack of my life. He's an incredible turntablist. And that man, more or less single-handedly, got me through the pandemic, lockdown. I wasn't working. I wasn't DJing. So I felt as though I'd lost my right arm and my left arm, and there was a guy that was there every day playing music, like we say, for these wonderful communities, and I just connected. So big up Jesus, man.
Yes, big up.
Yeah, he's just come in. He's just come in as you're talking about the Birdie song being your intro.
Yeah,
a lot of people I want to say hello to. I want to say hello to
Go for it.
I want to say hello to Machine Girthy, to the Moni. There's been a lot of people chatting in the chat. Big up to yourselves, guys. Big up to Chris as well. Big up Danny. Big up.
We've got a comment from Machine Girthy. I think Monty Python's fish slapping dance would suit Double P. Right, another question from Danny Batt. Now, this is something that sort of had a bit of controversy this morning. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
It is a temper, so it's just a different form. It's like, oh Jesus, that's a good question.
Maybe a hot sandwich, isn't there?
Yeah, it's a form of sandwich, yeah. But it's just It's
well, hold on, no. Beezus is saying, hell no, it ain't no sandwich.
No, I didn't think so.
DJ One of a Kind, not.
Well, what's the definition of a sandwich then?
Wow,
piece of bread.
Something between two slices of bread or some form of bread. You can basically, I make many sandwiches. If you've just got a topper at the end, you can fold that bad boy in two. So it don't need to be two slices. So by definition, is a sandwich something between two forms of breaded material? Yeah. Chat, can you let us know?
Well, yeah. Come on, chat. Yeah.
I think the chat is saying no.
It's a fillet of fish. It's a fillet of fish, a burger. I don't want to throw any spokes in the wheel here, but, you know.
If you're saying no, guys, why is it no? That's what I want to ask. Why is it no?
I think many people are saying that because it's not two slices of bread. I think the basic definition of sandwich, two slices of bread with something in the middle. Obviously, it's like a bun cut in half with a hot dog.
It's still surrounded. It's surrounded by both sides. That meat is surrounded by both sides, so it's getting a cuddle from the bread. So it doesn't matter whether it's two slices of bread, it's still a cuddle within bread, isn't it? Like, if you get what I'm saying. Yeah. I mean,
I like that. It's a cuddle between.
It's a cuddle, yeah.
It's a cuddle because it don't matter. Like I said about the top of scenario.
the one slice of bread. Yeah, you can make a sandwich out of one slice of bread. Yeah.
You know.
It's a meat island, yeah. Right. So
shout out to referee Beezus.
The Americans though with hot dogs, they're very passionate about it. So you know they would know more than us English, because you know us English, when it comes to hot dogs, we get those little things in tins. You know, we're not really one for hot dogs, are we? And the thing is as well, like I don't know about the Americans or the international chat crew. Us English, we like to overcook anything on the barbecue. We got no sense of temperature control. So most of our sausages are usually like burnt to a crisp.
Well, so, cooked is burnt on a barbecue, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you I tell you what, this is a true story, right? This week I smelt a barbecue. It must have been a sunny day here in Bristol. It must have had a couple of hours. I smelt someone thought, oh, we got an hour here. Right, let's get the barbecue out. Right, quick. Because I smelt someone cooking some barbecue sausages.
You sure it was a weed?
No, no. A man knows the difference between the weed and the sausage. It was like English people have got this thing. We get a little window of
see sunshine.
And we're like, right, okay, I've got a couple of sausages there. I got this barbecue from last year that I haven't used. Let's get it out there. And I smell it. I'll tell you this, and it's January. Yeah.
Probably had six coats on, gloves. He's still at the barbecue.
God,
the sun's out.
Big up John. Big up John the Hat.
Yeah, he answered that. We've got a couple more from Danny Bounce and a couple more from other people. Right, Danny Bounce, I love his questions. Double P, why do you think 11 is not pronounced 1T1?
You can't answer these questions. He just can't answer them because he's in too much.
He's right though. 21, 21, 21. Why is it not 1T1?
I don't know, actually. Let me just get my abacus out. I'll have a look.
Well, you're old enough to have an abacus, aren't you, Double P?
Yeah.
I got a question for the crew and the international crew,
go for it.
Right. Okay. on every toaster in the history of the world of toasters, right? There's always a setting, right? That's just so ridiculous. I don't know what its purpose is, right?
Yeah.
Now, basically, there's always a ridiculous setting for it. Now, can anyone give me a reasonable reason why there is a setting on a toaster that will cook things for sufficiently? Say in number 9, it's always arbitrary like that. Some weird number 9 that actually can cook something, like either burning it or making it undercooked. So, what is the point of the highest setting of the toaster?
The high setting one is in case your barbecue breaks down, you can still cremate your sausage.
Amazing.
There we go.
I'm just gonna go back because we've got an answer, because Holiday Special says in Italian it is, because it's undici, I'm probably pronounced that wrong, is 110.
Ah.
So there you go. Yeah. Educational.
Pick up.
And
there you go.
Hilarious. Right. One more from a serious one. A serious one from
Crouton. So I think Beezus has got an answer for my toaster scenario here, right? Potato waffles. No, potato waffles, right? Before you get it, potato waffles always undercooked. Crumpets, you have to do them twice, right? So
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so they are very good answers, but they still kind of don't satisfy my own sort of weird, like, why the fuck this has happened? Because no one has actually ever put it on a setting with bread and it's come out alive, man. Ever.
No, but what man doesn't like 2 bits of crumpet?
That's a carry on little movement there. Like,
that is swiftly moving on.
Yes.
We have still got a few questions. So let me get this one. This is a serious one. Serious one from Danny Bounce. Double P. What is the 145? Actually, no, maybe Danny. Danny, your Stephen Hawking question might make it next. Actually, yeah, let's jump there. Right. Was Stephen Hawking really a genius, or was he just Googling everything on his built-in iPad?
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. I don't know.
I'm going to go with genius. I'm going to go with genius.
I'm going to go with genius as well.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything about black holes and crumpet.
Right. Back to the serious question. Hold on. Well, DJ one of a kind. Quick one. Is everyone a 45 head?
No, I'm a crackhead.
No, I'm. Do you know what?
No, really. Yeah, no. Go on. Double P, you're a 45 head.
Yeah.
Mr. Musto.
12 inches, and probably about records final, and then not many 45s. I've only been collecting 45s probably 3 years, maybe. So I'm not big on the 45s.
And
I like spinning on them, but not big.
Do you know what my first gig?
You're more digital, aren't you?
Yeah, no. I've got vinyl, but basically, a lot of my vinyl's at my baby mama's house because I got the space. But basically, my first ever gig, I DJ'd at Thekla, which is a big club in Bristol. But I never had enough. I never had enough vinyl, so I basically had vinyl. I had CDs and I had mini discs, right? And I had to write down. We're talking. I was 17 years old at the time, so I had to 17, 18. So I had to write down the breaks with times. So basically, I've always been one of these guys. I live with DJs, so basically as well that when we had gigs, I could just take his crates or I DJ with him. But a lot of my records now are at my baby mum's because now I'm on digital. It's all changed. But yeah, I went for a massive addiction to buying them. It's like anything, you know. As soon as I had a friend who lived in Brighton, I used to go down. So every time I used to go down, I just used to spend lots of money buying records.
Yeah, it's a definite addiction. Definite addiction.
I love the artwork and the kind of just the whole vinyl experience is just like this is why I really do value what you guys do, because it's like mixing is you know, the whole collector's aspect of things. There's something about the physical nature of having a vinyl, the physical nature of moving a vinyl, and also the artwork I really, really appreciate. Yeah.
Just finding out, you used to find out so much, like just reading the back of an album cover, you know, about the guys that were in the band, the guys that recorded it, producers and stuff like that. And that used to lead you down wormholes, wouldn't it? Like, right, I got to check out that artist or check out that musician or check out that producer. And that's how your collection or your digging might have you know, might have sort of expanded and stuff like that, and meeting people in record stores, right?
Oh yeah,
Twitch has done this brilliant thing for extended communities, but you know, that social aspect of meeting people. I mean, living in Gloucester, I used to come to Bristol all the time, Adey, and buy records, and you know, I used to party.
Where did you shop?
What, back in the day? Just
where was shop?
Yeah, just all like a lot of the boutique type shops like that were closed shops and then record stores. And we'd go in and, you know, like Daddy G would be in there and he's buying records. So we're listening to what he's buying. And then, oh, have you got another copy? We'll buy that. And then he's talking about, I'm going to play this tonight. Where are you playing tonight? And then we'd end up going back home to Gloucester, driving back up to the night to the gig. You know, this was before social media and stuff like that. That was your connection with people, and that's how you found out about gigs. And
I find it like you go down there, and it's like you go down there with like 20 quid, 30 quid limit. We're talking night is here, and you end up some guy showing you something, and before you know, it's like, oh, you're showing something like the, you know, the classic scene of Human Traffic, the vinyl, the dealer. It'd be like, have you checked this out? You check this out, and before you know, you got a pile of records. And you only went in for one, and you're like,
I used to go to a store in Birmingham. Do you ever shop in Birmingham, like Don Christie's and Summit Records? And Don Christie's was predominantly where a lot of the sound system guys used to go. And I can remember I used to catch a train up there. I was 16 years old. I was the only white guy in the store. And everyone had their 20 minutes or their 30 minutes. They all had their record stacks, and then they was playing some. So they're all playing like dub, and I'd pick up a couple of tracks and stuff like that because I could play everything in Gloucester back in that day. And then I'd go on with some like hip hop and or some hip hop and soul and stuff like that. But it was like a meat market there, because as soon as that needle touched that record and they heard it, if they liked it, you had 20 or 30 guys that were in that counter, and they're like, I want one, I want one, I want one, you know. And so, like, you know, as a young guy going up there, you had to really hold your corner. It was like, It's like, fight for it. I mean, good times, good times. Yeah.
I think we now call that Discogs Rush, don't we? When someone plays something on Wednesdays on Wax.
It's a bit cold. It's a bit cold though, isn't it? You know, like buying off the internet. It's like that whole meeting people and talking, and that experience at a record store. Shout out to Bezos as well, because he runs a record store, so he knows exactly like, what we're talking about. But that connection back in the day was
I feel like the thing is, and Andy might know this as well, because of Replay Records, like Replay Records was a big shop in Bristol, which is an underground sort of electronic scene, where that was a sort of meeting place for a lot of the ravers, the promoters, and all the things in Bristol. And Colston Hall used to do a kind of a record fair. Yeah. And it was always the things where, like, that's how you made connections. You know, you didn't have social media to make connections. So if you saw someone going through the funk section, you're like, oh, so you do play funk, do you? Oh, yeah, I play this bar, or I do this. And that was your way of being able to be introduced to people as much as records. So it's kind of funny now. I know we sound like old blokes and saying about these old ways of finding things, but there's a lot of value. It really had to dig for shit. You know, like nowadays you could say a tune, I'd go on Fingerbob, Tidal Weather, I get it, it's done. But there was that little gem that you would find, and sometimes you never knew who the hell it was, but you like the cover and you give it a listen. And it was just that moment of like anticipation.
And I think also as well, going into record stores as well, like, you know, like I said, whether it was in your hometown or Bristol, and if you're traveling out and you go buying, you know, you'd always get, the guys would always have like white labels in there, like locally produced artists. So if you like soul or if you like funk, then they might play something which was produced and put into the store by the person who'd made it. So like, you know, you come across some absolute gems. Now, you never find those kind of things on Discogs. You won't find them there because they were produced in such small quantities. They were independent runs, weren't they? 100, maybe 300. But when you picked up that gem, when you were in that record store, all you wanted to do was get back and play that out. So good times. But and a lot of that's coming back though. You know, I mean, look at vinyl sales. It's massively increased over the past.
I think it is, you know, and especially there's record shops who aren't on Discogs, for example, or little, you know, record dealers, and you know, who don't go on Discogs. So you know, you have to go and find these shops or find these people to do that. As Bezos says, you know, you often find the best stuff you weren't looking for in record shops.
And also I think the things we're talking about, things like mental health, and whilst we're in this world in sphere of Twitch, it's important that these record stores still exist, and these things are still about. So if you're this person now that you're thinking, okay, you're into music, whatever, just take yourself down a record store, remind yourself what it's like, they're still about, and always support your independent traders, because the thing is, whilst we're in this real kind of appreciation of this online world, there's still an out world there that still exists. And without our support and without our sort of, you know, commitment to the scene, that shit will die out. So just keep that thing rolling, because we never want that to die. You don't want just vinyl heads then just taking it into just indoors. We want still that community to exist.
Definitely. Right, getting back to a few questions. We've got a few more questions. One from Mocktac, which is a good one, actually. Coffee or donuts?
Why have the choice? Just have like, I mean,
we have a show. We've got a show on a Saturday morning called Coffee and Donuts. And he's asked, coffee or donuts? Double P.
Coffee.
John?
I'm a donut. I am. My waistline will tell you all about that.
Yeah, I'm more into my donuts than coffee. Adey, have you got a preference?
Coffee, because I don't really like sweet things, but coffee is my only real drug of choice nowadays that I can get away with. I'm going to some sort of rehab, so I'm okay with that.
And it's legal, right?
That is legal, yeah.
Fair enough. Or as Realize as one says, a coffee flavored donut. There you go.
He's not just realizes, he realizes the kind of like beauty of that coffee. Actually, a coffee donut, that would be not bad. Or maybe like an espresso, right? So you got cafe, what they called crispy cremes.
Yeah.
So basically, you know how they really take donuts to the next level. You can have just one with a like little trickle of like espresso running out of it. Ooh, that's quite nice.
But here's a question, right? If you took a donut, a plain donut, and you cut it in half and stuck a sausage in it, would it be a sandwich? I'm asking for a friend.
And do you know what Bob Marley's favorite donuts are?
Jamming.
Jamming.
I was genuinely going to say
jokes are coming out now.
I'm a dad. When you're a father, you're officially allowed to make dad jokes. That's just the way it rolls.
You are allowed to make dad jokes. You are definitely.
I'll tell you a story about espresso. I went with one day and DJ'd it the Mulberry Bar, and I got there and said to Sam, I feel really rough, mate. He went, give me a minute. Came back. He goes, drink that. I thought it was a lemon sip, so I knocked it back, and it was a triple espresso. I was banking my tits off.
See, I once got carried out of a Brighton cafe. This is true story. I once got carried out of a Brighton cafe shop by having 2 percolate coffees. You think, how did that happen? It was the strongest shit I've ever had in my life, and I just went weak, man. I went green. I lost all sense of what was going on. I had to get out of there. So coffee can kill kids. Okay.
I got carried out of a cafe in Amsterdam. Never knew about edibles.
Edibles are the unknown quantity, aren't they? You know
how many muffins did you have?
No, honestly, I didn't know. I don't even smoke, and the
thing is, you have a muffin, but then you get the munches, and then you have the other muffin that you have, and then you're like, "Fuck, I've had double muffin now." Shit. Oh yeah, now it's.
Have you noticed in Amsterdam, you've got the Get Stone shops, and then right opposite is where they sell all the pizzas and ice cream.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. They make it very convenient.
Perfect marketing, yeah.
I thought you were
but if you have been to Amsterdam, you realise they've only got a certain amount of flavours of crisps. So therefore, I think it was salt and vinegar, some sort of paprika style.
Paprika, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't really know what else there was going on. Maybe really salt. That's about it.
Yeah, I think we're a bit spoilt in the UK for crisp flavors. But I've got to come back with something. So, Adey, I've got to say, unfortunately, Danny Bounce has got a right come down for your joke about Bob Marley.
Okay.
He says, Bob Marley doesn't eat donuts. He's dead.
Yeah, but when we talked about that's really it's quite.
Damn, Danny.
That's quite a sobering.
Danny.
He's just bringing the vibe right down.
Yeah,
damn, Danny.
Yeah, but Bob Marley might be dead in body, but his spirit lives on. And I tell you what, like that's one thing. My son is called Marley, named after the great god that is Marley. But I will tell you this now, like if Marley did. You know, I'm sure donuts did exist when he was still alive. If he did have a choice, it definitely would be jamming. We're jamming. I want to jam it with you.
Danny, that wasn't nice or nice, that comment.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
But it does prove an interesting point. You know, like you're saying, you know, we're Bob Marley's not around anymore, but we play his music. And we talk about this a lot. You know, we play a lot of, past artists who passed.
Yeah.
You know, some have taken, you know, far too early, but with music and what we're doing, we are keeping their spirits alive and, you know, spreading their love and their music. But yeah, right. A couple more questions. Another one from Mocktac. Double P, this is for you. Think carefully how you answer this, okay? Remember, you're on my show. Think carefully. Which DJ's 45 collection would you own apart from Sam Tweaks?
Oh, Christ, that is a real tough one.
Begins with C? I'm joking. Go on. Whose would you like?
I don't know. It's really tough. I mean, wow. Number one, I'd probably say I'd have a mixture. Actually, I'd have
No mixtures. Just one.
It's not a sandwich. It's not a sandwich. You can't build a 45 sandwich.
I think he's leading.
Wow. I'd say, God, I can't say yours, can I?
You don't have to. You know,
no,
I'll assume you're just saying it because I'm on my show, but you know, you don't have to.
for the fourth time or the fifth time, whatever it is.
Fat Wax.
Sorry, yeah, I would have said Fat Wax. I think Fat Wax is collection I'd like. But we've got some other ones. Tezuka's saying Andy Smith's.
Oh yeah.
Danny Bounce Craze. Andy Smith, I think, has probably got it. One of them. Coco, obviously. DJ One of a Kind. Mr. Thing. Yeah, Mr. Thing, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
And
actually, I'll probably say Juno.
Juno, yeah.
Juno, you want Juno's 45?
Okay. I'll just take Juno's bank account.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Well, just the postage part.
Right, yeah, that one.
We've got one more question, and this is an important one. So Mark Lancaster, he was one of the early guests on the show, and he was the one who asked the question about, you know, what 345s or what 45s lift your spirits. And obviously we've done that on most shows, and it's generated an uplifting mix. So his question: even if you clear your internet search history, does Baby Jesus still know what you have been looking at, asking for a friend?
Yeah.
Maybe Jesus would always know what's going on, because like if you took like Jesus lives within all of us, whatever, I would say that we all know, and we've all got, like, I've got this thing we can project to the world for as much as we can, but we've all got to have those moments when we're lying in our bed at night knowing the wrong things we've done and the reality of our lives. So you can clear your motherfucking internet history, but it's burden on your motherfucking soul. So just cleanse yourself now, guys. It's Sunday. It's time to repent. This is the time that we clear our sins and say it's okay. We're going to learn from our mistakes. So clean your internet history right now.
So next time I go to church and I have my wine and I have my bread, can I ask him for 2 pieces of bread and make it into a sandwich?
Or is it a sandwich?
Or is it a sandwich?
Yeah. Just because it isn't bread and it's just surrounded by 2 crackers, is that a cracker sandwich? Or is that just a cracker combo? What is it? So therefore, that's a good thing. If you get cheese between 2 crackers and whatever, is that a sandwich?
Wow. It's not bread, is it?
Yeah, is it? So by definition, the definition of a sandwich, it has to be bread.
Yeah, I think so.
We had where was that definition we had earlier on? I think it did say that, didn't it?
Yeah, it is bread.
I don't know, man. I think that we can't take one person's opinion.
I think we need to do a whole. I think we need to do a whole stream.
Yeah, I think we do.
Yeah. There you go. Note that down.
We got. You know what?
Get mental health. Let's talk about the real things that matter. What constitutes a sandwich?
But you know, if we didn't talk about mental health, we wouldn't have got to this point. So you know, it's all like that. Danny Bounce said earlier.
That's the thing. Are we laughing? So
like Danny Bounce said earlier, having a laugh with your mates. You know, and like, you know, if Twitch hadn't happened, when would the 4 of us be in the same room together with a whole load of other mates as well? All having a good laugh, but also talking about the serious stuff, you know, at the beginning and sort of working through. And, you know, it's amazing.
Be like water, my friends. Be like water, wherever the wind, wherever the water takes you, you know, this is what the beautiful balance of life is accepting that is shit. And the thing from a point of view, which is actually really comforting, is to know that things are pretty shit sometimes. But sometimes that's actually quite comforting, because then you realize when you have these opposite moments, that's what makes it so beautiful. And it's just about light and shade. It's about that balance. And I think when we are going through these mental things, when we think things are tough, there's always that element of things which we could just look at. I practice gratitude, and it seems very wishy-washy to many, but at the same time, when you're just thankful for the basic things, you just start really looking at actually what we've got around us. There's so much joy in that. And it's like, you get it. I always get it. I don't know about you guys. When I'm on a train or I'm on a coach and I'm driving by, and you've got the right soundtrack on, and it's the perfect music which fits with the journey, you start to notice the little things a little bit more. Your brain goes to a different place, no?
Definitely.
So, okay,
it's like kids noticing things, isn't it? The first time a kid goes on a train or a journey, they're looking out the window, they're seeing, you know, the world go by, and they're not interested in anything else. At that point, you're looking at that, and it's focusing, isn't it? And just being focused and in the moment to hopefully cut out everything else for a short period of time. And I think that's what we get from DJing. You know, I think we've talked about it before. You know, as soon as you switch your decks on and you're DJing, especially if you stream for that hour,
you're meditating.
You're just focusing on listening to music, mixing it, chatting with your mates, and all the rest of it. And it can make you feel good. You know, Funky Flavor said it today. You know, he wasn't really feeling it, wasn't feeling too well, or feeling up for it. You know, he got on, did his set, and at the end of it, he felt great. He was dancing around during it, and it's amazing what music can do.
It is. I do always say, I say when I do radio, that music's very emotive. It can take you to a time and a place. That might be a club, an experience with your friends. You know, it could be, you know, a breakup with a partner. It could be a variety of things. But you can hear that song, and you can hear the first bar of that song, and it just transports you to that time, that place. Very emotive music. And yeah, motive can, you know, it can really pick us up. Music can, and motivate us to do things, and it's like an emotional crutch for a lot of us, isn't it? So Twitch, you know, Twitch and that, it helps us with that. Yeah,
definitely. Right, it's been amazing. I'm just gonna find someone to raid to. But Double P, some last thoughts about the raid event and mental health that we've been talking about.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I appreciate everyone taking part. The thing is, you know, I think we need to get the seriousness of mental health out there, because, you know, there is people killing themselves every day, you know, and you know, for me, you know, you suffer from it. Like, I suffered from it. It could have happened to me. I might not be here. I might not be talking to you guys. Yeah. So, you know, it's really important that people, I don't know, contribute, or they phone up. I mean, you know, we're all here. You know, if anyone is feeling down, whatever, you know, contact me on Twitch or whatever.
Yeah, reach out, man, reach out.
Definitely.
You know, it's not embarrassing to talk about stuff. No one would judge you. That's the thing. That's, you know, I personally, I think people judge. A lot of people judge people, but, you know, or there's this, you're better than him, or he's better than you. You're always going to get that in life anyway. But from a mental health perspective, you know, you do not know what somebody else is going through. You know, and it's always good to talk.
Definitely.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
And I think the way, because obviously we're all streaming relatively regular, it's great just to pop in and just say hi, and we're just checking up on each other as well. You know, it's like, how you doing? Oh, I'm okay. Or, you know, I was doing this yesterday, or I was doing that, and it's just that little connection, and, you know, knowing that someone else has taken the time to say hello to you and shown an interest in you and what you're doing is definitely really uplifting. And I think that's something else that, you know, we're quite amazing to get that. And yeah, big shout out to Jim Sharp as well. And he says congrats to Double P for putting on the raid.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that, you know, Double P, big ups to yourself, mate. I mean, I know personally it's very difficult to experience, but you've made something happen this weekend, and the money that you've raised will make a difference.
Yeah,
it will make a difference. And the thing is, we often, as any person, we always think necessarily about destination. We never start things because we're worried about, you know, it's better to start something and just do something about it than never do something at all. And I want everyone to remember that you're amazing people and you contribute towards all of us. And I want you to go into your Mondays with a fucking, like, a pride of yourself, because we all go through these motherfucking dark times, man. And it's hard. It really is motherfucking hard some days. It really is. And And the greatest strengths I get is from the fact that we can make a difference if we choose to, but also from a personal point of view, it's okay to go through those moments, because I heard this great quote recently that all things pass. And just when you think you're on the precipice of doom, it passes. Just when you're at the moment when you are at the top of the mountain, you think you know everything, that passes too. So just remember what's going on. Just hold in there, guys, because you're beautiful people, and you've got a community around you that will always support you and would always have a bubble. And you've got all these geezers here that, and ladies and people here that are here to help you. So never forget, wherever you're going through, man, we've always got people around you.
Yeah. I'll just add to that and just say, just you know, reach out. And if you've got a friend who you know goes through some tough times, you know, and you've not heard from them, then, you know, maybe pick up the phone and give them a call. You know, it's great to reach out and know that you've got people around you, but sometimes people are in a little bit of a dark space. So if you've not heard from someone for a while and they've not popped up, and, you know, just reach out, guys, and, you know, just we're all here for each other. So yeah, just
amen. Black Lives Matter. I mean that as well. You know, because end of the day, we're in an institution where there's so much of this bullshit going on, where we're separating people. It's about inclusion, guys. It's not about anything else. And the thing is, lose the ego as well, because the ego will drive you to some bullshit places. So I will tell you this now: when you do start making the decisions to do things for yourself, and you do it with the only intention for making sure that you're doing it for the right reasons, things will happen for you. But when you start to lose that sight of that, and you start thinking that you're losing that shit, man, remember, everyone's got a purpose in this life. Just find yours, And that's my little speech there, because it's important to me.
I think that's, you know, a great way to end the show as well. Thank you guys so much. Hang around for a minute. We'll have a quick chat after we've ended the broadcast. But Double P, amazing weekend. Mr. Musto, thank you for being a special guest. Adey, thank you for coming on and being open and honest about, you know, your experiences. And big shout out to everyone who's been involved in this.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
The viewers, the follows, people who've contributed, people who've donated. You know, we've done something this weekend, you know, and, you know, we've all grown closer as friends and connected, and it's been amazing. Big ups, Double P, for bringing us all together.
Big up, everyone.
Thank you, nice one.
Take care.
Take it easy.